Well, hello ladies and gentlemen. A couple weeks ago, I went to Vidcon at the Anaheim Convention Center in Los Angeles, California, and while I was there, I had the pleasure of meeting several big YouTubers within the industry, including two of my favorites, Ethan of Crank Gameplays and Markiplier.
The main reason that I'm here and I'm making videos today is because of you.
Okay, so I didn't actually meet Markiplier, but I did get the opportunity to sit down and have a drink with an amazing Markiplier lookalike. He goes by the Instagram and Twitter handle Activism and is genuinely a swell dude. However, let's not get carried away, for this story is about Markiplier, and although I didn't get to meet him, I was able to attend several panels of which he was on. One was about activism, which I got to sit third row, and another titled The Good in Gaming, which I sat second row and got this lovely little footage of Markiplier looking directly into my camera. So I guess that counts as meeting him, right? But let's talk about Markiplier on the Activism panel, for that is where this story takes place. It was an entire hour filled with inspirational stories and motivational speeches from perhaps some of the most humble YouTubers I have ever had the pleasure of hearing speak. And I'll admit, there were several moments during that panel that brought me to tears. Through this experience, I began to understand just how these individuals have made such an impact in their communities. But it wasn't until the Q&A segment at the end that I saw into the heart of the man who is Markiplier. There were many questions asked during this time, but two in particular truly drove the conversation into the depths of the emotional field. And trigger warning, these questions contain heavy subject matter. The first question came from a young boy, perhaps about middle school age, who stood up and told a tale of his best friend who had just lost his father to cancer and was now being bullied at school for not having a dad. The boy's question was, what can I do to help support my friend through this struggle? Markiplier, who lost his father to cancer, spoke for some time, offering the boy advice, and concluded his answer by saying, "When my father was alive, I know that he never regretted a single moment of his life with me because of the great love that he showed to me. Because of this, I decided that I would never regret a single moment of my life without him." He then encouraged the boy to pass this message on to his friend and to continue being there for him through this hard time. The boy thanked Markiplier for his answer, and we moved on to the next question. This time, a young woman with beautiful magenta hair stood up. She explained that her mother had recently committed suicide. Through her story, we discovered that she's an animator, and despite the heartbreaking loss of her mother, she was continuing to create content for her audience of whom she didn't want to disappoint. But before she could fully get her question out, she broke down. And what happened next, I will never forget. Markiplier came down from the panel stage to comfort her. He embraced her and then proceeded to spend the next several minutes speaking with her privately off to the side of the room as the panel continued on without him. He made sure that this woman was consoled in her time of need, and it didn't matter the dynamics of her being a fan and him a big YouTuber. In that moment, he chose to be there for her. It is for this reason that I know Markiplier is a man who I can stand behind, for he cares not about being a big YouTuber, not about fame, but about people, about making a difference, and about changing lives. And this is the true heart of Markiplier. When the panel ended, Mark was swarmed by many people who wanted to meet him. I stood and watched for a moment as the crowd grew around him, and then I turned, walked the other way, and found the young woman who Mark had spoken to. I told her I was moved by her story, by her strength, that despite her hardship, she was continuing forth in her life for the sake of others. And there is such beauty in that, and in her. We shared a quick hug, both of us choking up from what had transpired in that room over the last hour. And finally I said to her, "Thank you for being you. In return, she smiled and said to me, "Thank you for being you too." As I walked away from that moment, inevitably changed forever, I knew then that I was not the only one. So thank you for listening to my story, for listening to hers. And if this story touched you as it did me, share this with someone you love. For now, this is Nicklefritz, signing off.